Oh, hey, friends. Josh Yeager, fiduciary governance popinjay and Santa Barbara dog walker. Out for a walk with my dog Dodger and thinking through why the heck does it take so long to settle trusts and estates? I read with interest Dickens' story of Bleak House, where the Jarndyce family was fighting for generations until basically all their assets were wasted, but the attorneys got rich on the settlement process. And that was 150 years ago. And there are settlements that I've been a part of that, doggone it, take way longer than I think they should take. And I've been doing some thinking on that subject. I'd like to share some of my thoughts. Why does it take so long to settle a trust or estate? Well, number one, who is the trustee? Has a lot to do with it. The trustee is the quarterback, the CEO, the grand poobah of the administration. Many times that quarterback is the surviving spouse, an aged old lady that doesn't have an email account, doesn't know how to scan documents, doesn't have high energy for a lot of details. And so it's hard for the successor trustee spouse to be the one calling the shot and ride and hide on people that aren't meeting their deadlines. So that's one reason. Mom's tired. Second reason, looking at the different trustees, is the eldest daughter scenario, where eldest daughter is the successor trustee. She's a smart lady, very competent, has career experience doing something, probably currently has that job and is kind of busy doing that something. At the same time, she's trying to settle her mom and dad's estate. This is probably the first time, though, that she's ever had that project. It's a complex project, and despite the non-professional trustees' acumen, they just don't have experience in doing this type of work, and in many cases, they got a day job. Third reason trust administrations take a long time is when the CPA or attorney for the family is the successor trustee. My experience has been when that professional advisor is named, they also are looking towards the end of their career, a little bit long in the tooth, and are thinking of getting out of practice. They probably have huge client loads already, lots of commitments to other families, and so slipping in a complex trust administration that may take 500 hours to do on an already harried schedule when you're trying to get out of practice and get into retirement can be difficult. Other reasons that trust administration tend to take longer than they probably should is I've found that rarely is there any master list of all of the integrated projects that are supposed to be done. So at the beginning of an administration, we know with great accuracy, we're able to predict all of the things that need to be done during that administration and the interrelatedness of those projects. But it confounds me that because we have these specialists, the attorney that only looks at the administration from a legal framework, and the CPA that only looks at the administration from a tax framework, and the investment advisor who looks at the administration from an asset management framework, rarely is there any integration of each of these professional disciplines to look at the entire project and identify the dependency of the sub-projects. So having a master project list, or failure to have a master project list, is one of the explanations, I think, for long administrations. And then the last thing would be there isn't any one party that is the facilitator that's responsible for getting the administration done. Now, legally, there is a party. They're called the successor trustee, the eldest daughter, the grieving widow, the harried CPA or attorney who wants to get out of practice. They're technically the quarterback of the process. But practically, there isn't any person that is incented to expedite the settlement. And when there's nobody incented to expedite the settlement isn't expedited. Stands to reason. So those are the 5 common reasons that trust administrations take much longer than In my experience, they should. I think we as a professional practice should be able to set the bar that we can do trust administrations twice as fast as they're normally done and half the cost. And there's some ways that we can do that. Following is my exegesis of the 5 ways that we can expedite trust administration to make it more efficient. The first is to anoint or identify a trust administration facilitator. This might be the CPA or the attorney or the eldest daughter or the family bookkeeper, but some person has to own the list, the task list of who is going to do what when, and has to be responsible to the successor trustee for making sure that that task list is vigorously adhered to. This doesn't mean being a jerk and yelling at people when they have to go on vacation and the task that they were assigned doesn't get done. It just means being deliberative so that nothing waits inordinately long, or if something is stuck, then somebody can bring it to the trustee's attention with a hope of getting it unstuck. So having a settlement facilitator. I don't think this has to be a $400 an hour person. I actually am playing with a model where it's like a $100 an hour person, because really it's just record keeping ultimately, something like a bookkeeper or something like that. So that's item 1. Item 2, it confounds me that there is this professional discipline called project management that many industries, the tech industry, aerospace industry, construction industry use. When you look at their project management checklists for how to build a building, or how to launch a satellite, or how to build an airplane, those checklists, trust me, are much, much more complicated than the trust settlement problem. We in the professional community, trust and estate settlement folks, can learn a lot from the best practices that have been developed after World War II on how to manage projects. So become a student of project management. Subset on that is get project management software. There's really good software that's out there that helps keep track of all of these interrelated projects, tasks, responsibilities, multi-member teams, document curation. These are fundamental tools that are easy to get, inexpensive, easy to be trained on, and we in the professional community aren't using them to our detriment and the detriment of our clients. So get familiar with project management. Use software that's available. Use communication tools that expedite the process of talking with each other. Why do we have to pick up the phone every time we need to talk about something related to the administration? And other things that can be done, I think incenting or establishing the financial model so that there's an incentive to settle the trust administration quickly. Oh, hi, good morning.
Good morning.
So what if the facilitator was paid a flat fee to get the trust settled quickly, noting that they're dependent on other parties, CPAs, attorneys, investment advisors, appraisers, etc., to get it done. But what if that administrator got paid a fixed fee to settle a trust? So if the trust takes 3 years to settle, they get the same fee as if the trust is settled in 1 year. I would bet that those trust facilitators would work their tail off to get the trusts settled faster, which would be good for the successor trustee and the beneficiaries. Ultimately, it would be really good for the professional settlement members, the CPA and attorneys, and bookkeepers, and appraisers, and all the other folks that are on the team. So rethinking how we pay people to do the settlement might incent quick performance rather than the traditional model, which is an hourly rate where that project could be worked on either right this minute or 2 weeks from now. And there isn't really an incentive for rapid deployment of the asked for activities. Other things that can be helpful in the administrative process, I already mentioned the project management software. We at Anados use Microsoft Projects, which we found really helpful for complex settlements. There are dozens of other products that would work equally well. That's just the one that we've settled on. So friends, those are a couple of ideas of number one, why it takes so long to settle trusts and estates, and two, a few tips and tricks of how one might expedite the process. Oh, I just thought of another one. This one has been so helpful in our practice. The old way of doing it was, let's have a meeting with the client every month or every 2 months. That's kind of a big meeting, kind of an hour, kind of a sit down with a lot of preparation of all the things we've done in the last month or two, all the things we plan on doing in the next month or two. What if we changed the model and had more frequent meetings, but shorter meetings with smaller agendas? So for example, what if we had meetings every other week with the successor trustee and advisory or settlement team, but those meetings were only 15 minutes long, and those meetings were dedicated to just a few action items that were set at the prior meeting. Now the cumulative number of hours is the same, whether we have 4 15-minute meetings every 2 weeks, or whether we have one big meeting every 2 months with the client. The amount of hours dedicated to the meeting administration is the same, but my experience has been shorter meetings, smaller agendas, remote communication and delivery. They don't have to come in the office. Lends itself towards taking the big project, the elephant, and breaking it into little pieces, little bite-sized pieces, and that's the way you get the project done better, rather than have these big, episodic, everyone's got to be at the war room table. We found that doing more meetings with shorter time periods is good. So, thus ends my walk and talk with the dog in Santa Barbara. Dodger, come here. Say hi to the folks. What a good dog. Okay, see you folks. Best luck with your settlements. Ciao.